The Galactic Council's most brilliant minds had been staring at the ancient tablet for 3 standard cycles. The artifact, recovered from the ruins of the predecessor civilization on Kareth 7, contained what appeared to be coordinates to a weapon cache that could tip the balance in the ongoing war against the Void Swarm. The problem was simple. Nobody could read it. Dr. Zelnoth, the Council's chief xenolinguist, ran his tentacles across his translator for the 1,000th time. His species, the Talari, possessed 17 different cognitive lobes dedicated solely to language processing. They had deciphered over 4,000 dead languages across the galaxy. This one, however, defied all logic. The syntax shifts mid-sentence, Zelnoth explained to the assembled team, his translator rendering his clicks into galactic standard. The grammar appears to contradict itself deliberately. There are 17 different tense markers in a single phrase, some of which seem to reference events that both did and did not occur simultaneously. And these symbols here, he gestured at a particularly dense cluster of markings. They appear to mean their exact opposite depending on context we cannot determine. Commander Victor, a towering Krelix warrior, slammed his fist on the table. 3 cycles, Zelnoth. 3 cycles and nothing. The swarm is at our doorstep. It's impossible, added Dr. Serene, a mindweaver whose species could read thoughts. I've attempted to psychically reconstruct the mindset of whoever wrote this. The mental gymnastics required would drive any sentient being insane. It's as if the language was designed specifically to be incomprehensible. That's when Lieutenant Marcus Chen walked into the briefing room, coffee in hand. The human had been assigned to the Council's research division 3 months ago, much to everyone's confusion. Humans were a recent addition to galactic society, barely a century since first contact. They were considered adequate soldiers and decent engineers, but hardly the galaxy's premier scholars. Marcus himself was just a linguistics hobbyist who had volunteered for the deep space assignment to escape his student loans. Sorry I'm late, Marcus said, taking a sip from his mug. Traffic was murder. What did I miss? Zelnoth's tentacles drooped in exhaustion. Lieutenant Chen, we are attempting to decode the predecessor language. It has proven to be beyond our capabilities. Marcus wandered over to the holographic display, squinting at the tablet. He tilted his head, then tilted it the other way. His eyes widened. Oh, you've got to be kidding me, he muttered. You recognize something? Serene asked, hope creeping into her voice. Marcus set down his coffee and leaned closer. This isn't just a language. This is a linguistic middle finger to the universe. He started laughing, a sound that made several aliens uncomfortable. Look at this. Double negatives that create positives, sarcasm markers, context-dependent meanings, idioms that only make sense if you understand cultural references that no longer exist. And this, he pointed at the contradictory tenses. This is subjunctive mood mixed with conditional future perfect. In the same word. That should be impossible, Zelnoth said flatly. Yeah, it should be, Marcus agreed. But you know what this reminds me of? English. Specifically English written by someone who learned it on the internet, while drunk, having a stroke, and trying to be funny. He pulled up his datapad and started typing rapidly. See, humans have this thing where we make our languages as cursed as possible. We have words that sound identical but mean completely different things. We spell things nothing like how they sound. We have grammar rules with 1,000 exceptions. And don't even get me started on regional dialects, slang, and memes. The alien scientist stared at him as if he'd grown a second head. Your species does this deliberately? Commander Victor asked, horrified. Oh yeah. And here's the kicker. We get bored with regular cursed, so we invent even more cursed versions for fun. There's an entire human language called Ithkal that was designed to be maximally complex just because some guy thought it would be cool. We have programming languages named after jokes. We communicate important ideas using images of frogs. Marcus's fingers flew across the holographic interface. So when I look at this predecessor text, I don't see impossible contradictions. I see someone who thought exactly like a human trying to confuse the hell out of future archaeologists. Probably thought it was hilarious. He grabbed a digital stylus and began annotating. This symbol here? It's not a tense marker. It's the ancient equivalent of air quotes. This repeated phrase isn't a religious invocation. It's sarcasm. They're literally saying, yeah, sure, definitely put the superweapon here, what could go wrong? Zelnoth's translator emitted a sound that approximated a gasp. You mean, The whole thing is ironic, Marcus said, grinning. The predecessors weren't trying to preserve sacred knowledge. They were shitposting in stone. Hold my beer, well, coffee. I speak cursed fluently. Over the next 6 hours, Marcus decoded the entire tablet. The coordinates were real, hidden within layers of sarcasm, misdirection, and what appeared to be the ancient equivalent of dad jokes. The predecessors, it turned out, had been remarkably similar to humans, creative, irreverent, and absolutely committed to making things unnecessarily complicated for their own amusement. When the Council's fleet retrieved the weapon cache using Marcus's translation, they found one final message etched above the entrance. If you made it this far, you either think like us, or you're insane. Either way, good luck, you magnificent bastards. Marcus had it translated and printed on a t-shirt. Dr. Zelnath later wrote in his report, "It appears that cursed, chaotic communication may be a universal trait of truly creative species. The humans are not unique in this regard. They are simply the only ones still alive who remember how to think that way. Perhaps this is their greatest strength and their most terrifying quality." Marcus, for his part, requested a promotion and a better coffee maker. He got both. And when the Void Swarm encountered the predecessor weapons wielded by crews who could actually read the instruction manuals, they learned a valuable lesson. Never underestimate a species that communicates through memes, sarcasm, and weaponized linguistic chaos. Humanity had found its niche in the galaxy. They were the species who spoke cursed fluently, and in a universe full of ancient mysteries written by long-dead smartasses, that made them invaluable.